What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
Okay, and your boy Jake Bulls on the mic 1, 2.
And guys, we're gonna try and power through this one. Week 11 power rankings. We're heading into week 11 already. It's kind of crazy to think about. Season just seems to be flying by. A lot of good games this last week. If you guys haven't already, please check out our week 10 reactions. You know, we go game by game, a little bit more in depth than we have the last previous weeks. But yeah, it's because this was such a great week of football. And this week we're starting off with a great game. And if you guys don't know, we usually do Thursday night predictions at the end of this episode. So stay tuned for that. Guys, you already know the drill. Follow us on our Instagram here. Like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. Anything you can and do to help the podcast grow, we'd greatly appreciate. Jake, you have anything to add before we get going?
Nope, I'm ready to get into it, and I will kick it off. No changes from me. I still have the Carolina Panthers at 1-9. They look pretty bad. I could easily put another team here, but I'm just going to go on record with this one.
That's fine.
Based off record.
That's fine. I actually had Carolina at 32 last week. I moved New York to 32. Even though they have one more win, having DeVito at quarterback is not going to do anything. This team's in shambles. It kind of seems like the players are done with this year. They're not playing hard at all. Even though the defense has played pretty well, it's not a good season. Yeah, Giants at 32.
Yeah, toss this one in the bag. Pray for Caleb Williams because that's who I have at 31. I have the New York Giants dropping 2 spots, 2-8, and yeah, man, this season's over. It's been over. It's been over for weeks, honestly. And the fact that Daniel Jones is hurt and you have to roll with Tommy DeVito, it's over. So yeah, they're a bad team. Giants.
All right, 31. Just flip flop. I got Carolina at 31. They were competitive a little bit with the Bears. Bears aren't a good team either. Bryce Young just needs help. He needs weapons. Defense is okay, but yeah, he needs more firepower. Carolina 31.
All right. At 30, let's see if we have this one correct. Dropping 2 spots, I have the New England Patriots.
I have them as well, dropping 2.
All right. Yeah, they're 2-8. They just, I mean, we talked about it, or Dane mentioned it in our previous episode. The defense is okay. Like, it's not like elite like the Browns or the Jets, but they have good players dealing with some injuries. But really, man, it's the offensive side of the ball that just makes me really hasn't made me not love this team for the last 3 years. Mac Jones, his days are numbered. Bailey Zappi isn't much better. They need to do something different because it's not working.
Yeah, this offense is abysmal. Still enough to beat the Chargers, and I'm still predicting that they will beat the Chargers, which is crazy because Bill Belichick just knows how to play them. But if it's not the Chargers, they're not going to win. Mac Jones gets benched multiple times this season for like the last couple minutes. Bailey Zappi doesn't look any better, honestly. They need a quarterback. So, yeah, New England 30.
All right. Moving up 1 spot at 29. Let's see if I'm going to count how many we get right. I'm going to start doing that. Or we get the same. But at 29, I have the Chicago Bears. They won. Still not looking great. I expect this team to be a little bit better with Justin Fields. But, you know, I'm still not sold on Justin Fields, in case you guys are wondering. I think he's a great talent, but just doesn't translate to wins. So, yeah, But I will say this about the Bears. The Bears defense has looked a lot better in these last couple of weeks. So,
yeah, 29 for me is actually Green Bay.
That's who I originally had. I just switched them at the last minute.
Yeah, I have Green Bay 29. Defense is still playing solid. Jordan Love looked better. They were a lot more competitive against Pittsburgh than I thought, but they're still not winning games, still not looking pretty. Yeah. That's it. I mean, I don't have much to say about Green Bay. It's just kind of a mediocre team at this point.
Yeah, and like I said, I just flipped them right before we started recording. I have the Green Bay Packers at 28. Everything you said, I agree. Jordan Love did play a little bit better, but again, didn't translate to a win, and a costly interception to kind of seal the deal.
Yeah, 28 for me. This is where I have Arizona. I have them moving up 3 spots. I think this team's going to probably be in the low 20s, possibly the teens when it's all said and done. I think that they might get hot at the right time. They're not going to playoffs because they already have 8 losses, but with Kyler Murray coming back, they're definitely going to be more competitive. And he looked good. He had to knock some of the rust off, but this offense looks night and day better than Clayton Tune. And getting James Conner back. And, Kyler also realizing that he has a good tight end in Trey McBride. So watch out for the Arizona Cardinals to be competitive. I mean, they're not going to make playoffs, I don't think. I don't think there's any chance unless they win out, but I don't see that happening. So Arizona at 30 or 28.
I would say there's still a chance, but it's like a 1% chance.
Yeah.
But that's who I have at 27, moving up 5 spots. I agree with you, man. This team's completely different with their star quarterback. Who would have thunk, right? They have weapons. They have young players on the defense who play hard. And I think the biggest thing that you can take away from this season, if you're a Cardinals fan, is they're playing hard. They're not trying to tank. And I love it. So, yeah, Cards at 27.
27, this might come as a surprise. This team was on the bye, but just because of the movement of other teams, I had to unfortunately move them down. I think that they're going to move back up, but I have the Los Angeles Rams moving down 3. They're on a bye. Matthew Stafford is coming back, though, supposedly. So with him coming back, I think that they'll kind of get back on track and be a little bit more competitive, but Rams at 27.
And that's who I have at 26, dropping 3 spots.
Okay. No, I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. There was a lot of movement, and the last taste that we had from the Rams was not great. I do expect them to be a lot better with Matthew Stafford, though, because they're like the Cardinals. A lot of young players. They have a lot of offensive talent and a lot of defensive talent. They're just young and kind of banged up. So yeah.
26 for me. This is where I have Chicago moving up 1 spot. They're about to get Justin Fields back. Defense, like you already said, is playing better. Still a lot of question marks with the offense. But, you have DJ Moore there. The running game can get going. It's just a matter of who they're playing. I don't think that they're going to be any above average talent, but I think they can be competitive with the lower tier teams. So Chicago at 26.
All right. At 25, moving down a spot, I have the Tennessee Titans.
I have them at 25 as well.
Hey, let's go. Yeah, they're 3-7. Kind of back to reality for Will Levis. I think he'll be fine. But the offensive line didn't help him out a whole lot, and this is still not a great team. I wouldn't say this is an elite team by any means. But he has some toys to play with. Derrick Henry's got a good run game. He got D-Hop, so I think this team will probably win 2 or 3 more games, but they'll probably stay right around here.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about Tennessee. Excuse me. I think Will Levis is going to take his lumps and bruises. He's going to have good games. I mean, he showed that he can play good games, but he also showed that he can look human. And he's only played 2 games or 3 games now. So he's had 1 really good game, 1 okay game, and then a bad game. So he's a rookie. He's going to go through the motions, but Tennessee not going to make too much noise. I agree. Maybe 2-3 more wins. So yeah, Tennessee at 25.
All right. At 24, I have the team that beat Tennessee this last weekend, moving up 2 spots. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4-5. They were kind of on a losing streak. They looked pretty good at the beginning of the year. But even when they were losing, they looked okay. They looked decent. Like this, I say this every time I talk about the Bucs. Baker looks good. I think he's the quarterback for them, honestly. And they have weapons. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You know the drill. So they just need to piece together some weapons. Honestly, this division is still in their sights. I could see them winning. The way the Saints play at times, definitely the way the Falcons play at times, I definitely can see the Saints taking it. We will see. This is one of the closest mediocre divisions in football. So
back-to-back years.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Atlanta, that's who I have at 24, moving down 4 spots. They're on a losing streak. Defense, I think, is still playing pretty good, but the offense, you're going back and forth now with quarterbacks due to injuries or supposed concussions. But I don't like Arthur Smith. I don't think that he's a good play caller. I don't think that he's a good coach. And I think that he's hindering this team from being on the winning side of the games. But, there is talks that he's expected to be the head coach next year as well, which is surprising. But yeah, Atlanta moving down 4 spots to 24.
And that's who I have at 23. I did not. Sorry. Did I write that down? Do I have that? Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I don't. I don't know how many spots they dropped. I think it was only a couple. But yeah, Falcons, man. I agree with you. Arthur Smith is just. I feel like he has maybe a little bit of an ego, kind of like Josh McDaniels, and I know he did.
I mean, I guess when your dad owns FedEx, maybe you
Yeah.
were born with an ego.
Yeah, and like when you're not using Bijan Robinson because you think, I don't know, you can get more out of other players. I don't really understand it. I don't really understand the jet sweeps with tight ends. With all that being said, it's really like the quarterbacks for me. We know what Tyler Heineke is. We know what Desmond Ridder is potentially. They're just not that great of quarterbacks. So, yeah, Falcons at 23.
23 staying put, even though they lost. I have the Washington Commanders. I think they did enough this game to win it. It kind of just came down to who was going to have the ball last in that game. I think Sam Howell has played really good. He's had a bunch of games where he's putting up stats. I mean, he's a fantasy phenom. I mean, he's the third overall quarterback statistically in points per game for fantasy, which is crazy to think about. But they have weapons. The defense is kind of what's holding them back. I'm not sure if Ron Rivera is the right coach for the job at this point, but the offense with Eric Bieniemy is looking pretty good. So I didn't want to drop them, even though they did lose, because they look good, offensively speaking, at least. So Washington at 23.
All right, 22. I have the Broncos moving up 3 spots. They are 4-5. They're on a 3-game win streak, and they've beaten some AFC powerhouses. And Russell Wilson's not turning over the ball. He looks great. He kind of is I think he's playing like what he wishes Brock Purdy. I think he wants to play like him.
Yeah, he's kind of turning back the clock a little bit. You know, kind of showing that he's still got a little juice in his legs too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the Broncos. I think they can. I mean, they're in the playoff race. To be honest, that last playoff seed is going to be such a fight. So they have a great coach. They do have weapons. They have a run game which has actually been picking up steam the last couple weeks, and as long as Russell Wilson keeps playing like this, I think they're going to win a couple more games. So yeah.
At 22 for me, moving up 3 spots, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good bounce back. They were on a losing streak, but they came back against Tennessee. Defense played great. Baker Mayfield, he's doing well this year. He looks good in Tampa. Him and Mike Evans have a good connection. Rachaad White looks good. We'll see if they can build off of this momentum. Like you've mentioned in our previous episode, they still have the exoskeleton or the building blocks to build upon from the Super Bowl team. There's still pieces there. They just have to put it together. They have some talent. I don't think that they're an elite team by any means. They're probably an average team, but they can play upset. They can win some games. So yeah, Tampa Bay at 22.
All right. This one pains me. But at 21, I have the New York Jets dropping 3 spots. I love the defense. I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. This defense is elite.
You and me both, baby.
Unfortunately, the Jets offense really hinders this defense. Really, really hinders it. The defense just can't overcome it. And it's a shame because when Aaron Rodgers was there and all that hype was there, this was a lot of people's Super Bowl pick. I think if he was healthy, I think they would be my Super Bowl pick. The way that defense plays, honestly. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I think they'll win a couple more games, but it's too tricky to predict for them. So Jets at 21.
21 for me. This is where I have Denver moving up 5 spots. Good win against Buffalo. I do think that Buffalo aided them in this win, but still a win nevertheless. And they beat the Chiefs as well, even though Patrick Mahomes was sick that game. So they're on a little bit of a winning streak. Jake already mentioned that. Russell Wilson's playing pretty well. Cortland Sutton is playing pretty well. Javonte Williams playing pretty well. And the defense has turned a corner. Ever since they got blown out by Miami, they look a lot better. And I think that it just took a little bit of time. But yeah, watch out for Denver. They're a little bit of a sneaky team right now. They can play off of this momentum that they're building. So yeah, Denver at 21.
All right, at 20, moving up at 1 spot, I got the Washington Commanders. They lost. Oh, I know. Moving down 1 spot. Did I say up? Yeah, moving down 1 spot. Yeah, they lost, but they were right in it with Seattle, who's a pretty good team. I don't know if that defense is. I don't know how legit that defense is, to be honest. I don't know if it's Sam Howell just being an elite quarterback or playing like an elite quarterback. I think it's a little bit of both. I think, Sam Howell is, kind of coming into his own, and he played an okay defense. Yeah, I'm actually excited to see Sam Howell. Washington hasn't had a great quarterback for a while, so maybe he's the guy.
All right. 20 for me. This is where I have the Jets. I moved them down 2 spots instead of 3. We were almost on the money back-to-back weeks. But yeah, like you hit the nail on the head. This defense is phenomenal. This offense is abysmal. I think Robert Saleh is still a good head coach. I think that he's coached this defense very well. I mean, obviously, they're playing like a top 5 unit, but the unfortunate reality is they're on the field too much. They can't play complementary football because the offense can't hold up their end of the bargain. So yeah, New York at 20.
Beautifully said. At 19, moving up 2 spots, I have the 5-5 Colts. Kind of a surprise team. Yeah, actually, I mean, I think I had them winning 5 games this year. And This is without Anthony Richardson. And this is with a defense which we thought was going to be pretty good last year, but they're playing good this year. They have a lot of players on that defense, and they're making teams regret playing them. Gardner Minshew isn't special, but he makes plays and he can throw, and he's got weapons to throw to, and they got a good running game. They actually have a really good running back. So yeah, the Colts, they're right there in that AFC division race or AFC wildcard race. So yeah, go Colts.
19 for me, moving up 3 spots. I have the Raiders. They're on a winning streak. They look better with the interim head coach. Defense is playing well. Offense is kind of getting back to that smash mouth type of football. Run the ball with Josh Jacobs. Because Aiden O'Connell, he can make plays here and there, but he's a rookie. He's going to hold on to the ball too much. So I like the way that they're being coached right now. I think that they know who their star players are. They're getting the ball to Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and Max Crosby. He's a wrecking ball, and the defense comes to play. Like, they've been playing the run really well this year. So Raiders moving up 3 to 19.
And that's who I have at 18, moving up 2 spots. Yeah, man. The identity of this team has completely switched. Like, they are a smash mouth team. They're going to play good defense. Like, their defense has stepped up lately. Mm-hmm. And they're going to run the ball. They have, in my opinion, the Raiders they're kind of like the Chargers. They have too many great players on their team to be bad. And it's when you have that many players, it's a coaching problem. And I think you agreed with the Chargers. You think it's a coaching problem. And, maybe this, I forget his name. What's his, do you remember his name?
I do
something
not
Pierce,
off the top.
Right? I think it's something Pierce.
Let me look it up for you.
But yeah, the Raiders, they're on a win streak. And again, And also they are right in the 7th seed wild card.
Antonio Pierce.
Antonio Pierce, I was right. So they're right there. You know, maybe they can continue. They have good players. I don't really know if I would want to, you know, put my team in the hands of Aiden O'Connell, but he did look good in preseason. I thought maybe he might be the future, but we'll see. But the Raiders are kind of hot right now, so 18.
18 for me. Let's just switch our picks. That's where I got the Colts. I have the Colts moving up one spot. Like you said, they're playing pretty good. They're in the thick of things. They could be that 7th seed. Gardner Minshew, nothing special, but gets enough done. Some weeks he looks good, some weeks he doesn't. But you have Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Defense can come up and make plays when they need to. So, yeah, they're right in the thick of things. So, Indianapolis at 18.
All right. At 17, dropping 3 spots. I have the Los Angeles Chargers.
Me too.
Hey, let's go.
I dropped them 5.
Wow. You know, they're 4-5. And they really are right there. Like, they could get hot. They have, again, I said it, they have a lot of good players. They have a great quarterback, but it's just they can't piece together win streaks, and they can't play defense. So it's going to be their downfall if they can't stop anybody. You know, for as much as I love Justin Herbert, I don't know if he's the type of quarterback to just completely take over a game. I think he needs maybe just a little bit of help. I think he's great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just think he needs a little bit of help on defense. Maybe just 1 or 2 drives to slow him down, and then boom, I can get a lead. Like, give me something, defense. So Chargers are a weird team, but yeah.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think that's a great point. Like, I agree. Justin Herbert he's great, but he's not in the same tier as like a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady in his prime, because even if they didn't have a good defense, which we've seen Patrick Mahomes have bad defenses for years, this is the first time he's had an elite defense, and they could still win games because he could just take the game over. I mean, this last game against Detroit, there's not much more you could ask for from Justin Herbert. Like, he literally tried putting the team on his back, and the defense just blew it. I mean, 323, 4 touchdowns, had the 1 interception, but he did everything he could. And that was like as good of a performance as you could ask from like a Patrick Mahomes, a Tom Brady to put the team on the back. But this time the defense just could not hold up their end of the bargain. And it's unfortunate, man. Coaching is really hindering this team, and it's been a problem for years. It's been a problem since 2010. So the last 13 years, coaching has been a major issue. So yeah, Chargers at 17.
All right. At 16, dropping 3 spots. At the New Orleans Saints.
So do I.
They're 5-5, and who did they just lose to? Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The Saints defense is their superpower, right? They have a good defense. But Derek Carr is kind of hurt. I think he's dealing with a concussion. I don't know how long he'll be out. He'll probably be out week 11. Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. Oh my goodness. And the run game has not been present unless you're Taysom Hill. The offense is just not that great, and they have a lot of weapons, and I think it just comes down to the quarterback for the Saints.
Yeah. Saints haven't been as elite as we thought they would. They had a pretty easy schedule on paper, but quarterback play has definitely been hindering this team. When Derek Carr's out there, he cannot find the connection with Chris Olave. And that's unfortunate because that's your best wide receiver out there. Michael Thomas is now dealing with a knee injury as well, so that's also going to hinder this team. They're going to have to get back to the ground and pound. Alvin Kamara is going to have to be utilized. This defense is good, but it's not elite, so it's not going to win them games, but it'll keep them in games. And because of that, New Orleans drops 3 spots to 16.
All right, 15. This might be a hot take. But dropping 7 spots, I have the 5-5 Buffalo Bills.
I don't think it's that hot. I'm not far off.
All right. What do I have to say about the Bills? They're not playing good football right now.
Nope.
They are not. I mean, let's be real. They are banged up on the defensive side of the ball. And turnovers are going to kill your team. Like, what I did like about the Broncos game that they lost is they tried to get that run game going. And, James Cook actually had, besides the fumbling problem, which he did fumble twice, he recovered one of them. But I think they need to get that run game going. If they're going to win some games, they cannot just solely rely on Josh Allen at this point. He is a turnover machine, and he's going to cost them games, and he's going to cost them playoffs. He's going to make a lot of spectacular plays, but he's just too turnover prone right now. He needs to get confidence. He needs to get that reliance of the run game, and they need to get healthy, because if they don't, they're going to miss out on playoffs. So, yeah, Bills at 15.
15 for me, moving up 2 spots. Impressive Cinderella story, Minnesota Vikings. I still have my question marks, even as well as they've been playing. Defense has been playing lights out recently. Josh Dobbs has come in and done a phenomenal job, only having a week or two to learn the playbook. They're playing well. They're about to get healthier, so they might enter the top 10 conversation coming up pretty soon. And Jake and I have talked about their matchups with Detroit coming up, because they haven't played yet. Those are going to be fireworks. Those are going to be great games. We'll see if they can keep it rolling. If they keep rolling, they're going to keep moving up. So Minnesota at 15 for me.
And that is who I have at 14, moving 3 spots. They're 6-4, and it kind of reminds me when they had Case Keenum. They went on a little roll and, won a couple playoff games. And, sometimes you just need mojo on your team. If you guys don't know what mojo is, look it up. It's pretty much just a
watch Austin Powers.
Yeah, watch Austin Powers, but it's just a weird way of saying momentum. They have momentum on their side. They have, our quarterback went out for the season, but we traded for this dude who has done nothing but win for us. They have the offensive firepower, and let's be real, they have offensive firepower, which, like you said, they are going to get healthy. They have a pretty good coach, in my opinion. And if he can bring them to the playoffs, I think he deserves to be in the coach of the year conversation.
Agreed.
My only problem with them is the run game. Not super impressed with it. Been kind of waiting for Alexander Madison to kind of take that next step.
Injured.
And now he's injured. So we'll see what happens with the Vikings run game. But yeah, I mean, I like what they've been doing. So they're hot right now.
All right. At 14 for me, this is where I have Seattle. I'm only moving them up 1 spot. It was a close game with Washington. I think at home they should have scored, or they scored enough points, but I think the defense should have played a little bit better. Overall, Seattle is kind of a hot and cold team. Like, some weeks they look good, some weeks they don't. It's kind of relying on Geno Smith, and that's how it is for a lot of teams. Quarterback is the most important position on the field at any given time. But I still have my question marks about this team. I think that they can beat good teams, but I don't know if they're going to enter that upper echelon of the elite tier where they can beat an elite team. Because of that, I have them at 14.
Right on. At 13, moving up 2 spots, I have the 6-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't love this team, but they have a good record and they have a good defense.
And a good coach.
Yeah, and a great coach. Tomlin's a great coach. He's definitely in the upper echelon.
He does not know how to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, my problems with this team are the offensive side of the ball. Kenny Pickett, still, I don't know. Even when he has a good game, it's not like great. It's not like, oh man, all right, Kenny Pickett has arrived. The best thing is that they're getting the run game actually going. Najee Harris is looking good. Jalen Warren, they kind of got that thunder and lightning thing going back there. And they do have good wide receivers. Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are good, and I forget who the other guys are, but and they don't have a Freiermuth out there, so maybe that will help them out a little bit. I like this defense. I like the coach. I just don't love Kenny Pickett, and I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. At 13 for me, this is where I have Buffalo. I have them dropping 6 spots in my power rankings. It has not been pretty. It has not been a pretty ride. Probably the worst loss of the year for any team. Just a complete calamity collapse. It was just nothing went right. 4 turnovers, give the game away on a dumb play call or dumb decision to send out 12 players. Like there was no communication with the special teams players and the coach. I don't know what happened. Josh Allen, like you said, is a turnover machine. And I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't think Josh Allen is capable of winning a Super Bowl. Even if he has talent around him. Yes, they are banged up. I get that. But the defense played well tonight. They played well against Denver. And he just keeps turning the ball over. I mean, 2 interceptions and then just a dumb decision or a dumb play where he doesn't even hand the ball off. He drops it before handing it off. So it's just, I don't know, man. Josh Allen is a turnover machine. Like you said, he can make big time plays, but I have my question marks. I don't know if this team is capable of winning a Super Bowl with him, with the way he's playing now. If he turns it around like he did the previous years, I think that they can. But this year, I don't know. I cannot see it this year. So Buffalo at 13.
Real quick, who would you rather? I mean, I know you're a Chargers fan, but would you rather have Justin Herbert or Josh Allen on your team? Because to me, they're very similar.
I like the rushing potential of Josh Allen a lot more. I think that Josh Allen gives you a higher ceiling. I will say that. I think that the ceiling is higher with Josh Allen. I think he can make bigger time plays. Justin Herbert can make big time plays. Don't get me wrong, but Justin Herbert is a little bit more conservative at times. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's a little bit more cautious, which is why he doesn't have as many turnovers. So it's kind of, I don't know, pick your side, because I don't know what the correct decision is. I would probably go Josh Allen with the upside, but I think that in certain circumstances, I would go Herbert. It's tough, man. They're neck and neck, but I would probably lean Josh Allen, honestly.
I just thought of a funny analogy. I think Justin Herbert's like diet Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like, they're very similar to me. Like they both have good arms. They can run. Josh Allen does it a lot more, but
I think Josh Allen's a little bit more athletic because he can hurdle people. I've never seen Justin Herbert do that, but I think the diet thing's funny. And it's crazy because they're around the same weight, but Justin Herbert just looks so much leaner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Sorry, guys. Back to the power rankings.
12.
All right. At 12, this one's kind of a little sexy pick at 12, but moving up 4 spots, I have the Houston Texans.
So do I.
Let's go. Dude, the Texans, I am rooting for them so hard.
Same.
One, D'Amico Ryans, former DC for the 49ers. And I remember watching him play for the Houston Texans as a kid, and I just remember him being such a fucking beast. 2, I love being proved wrong when I am doubtful on quarterbacks, and CJ Stroud is breaking the mold with Ohio State quarterbacks. I'm not a Ohio State fan by any means, but you know what? I love doubting players and them coming in and just lighting the world on. He looks great. Again, he looks like the offensive rookie of the year. This team has a lot of pieces, like a lot. They have the run game. They have 2 solid running backs, Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. They're solid. They have a good quarterback. They have a lot of speed at the wide receiver room. Mechie, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz. They have a lot of capable wide receiving threats. And then the defense. they've built a good defense, through the draft, through veteran presence, and a defensive-minded head coach. Like, this team is going to be fun to watch. Like, in all honesty, it's looking like the Texans won that trade.
Yep.
Yep.
I literally could not have said it any better. So ditto.
Sorry, I went on a little rant. I just got hyped for the Texans.
That's fine. I could not agree more. You hit the nail on the head.
I'll let you take number 11 then.
All right. At 11 for me, this is where I have Pittsburgh. I have them moving up 3 spots. Great defense, questionable offense. The running game's going, but I do have my question marks about Kenny Pickett as well. I think that he's serviceable, but I don't think that he's going to be able to put the team on his back and win you a championship, unfortunately, at least not right now. I think that maybe he could develop into that. He is still young. This is only his 2nd season, but it hasn't been like great by any means. He does have 2 good wide receivers, like you said, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris is going, Jaylen Warren's going, and then with TJ Watt at the helm of your defense, like, you're going to be competitive. And Mike Tomlin, like you said, he's a great head coach and he knows how to coach teams. And even though it hasn't been the prettiest football, they still win games because they're well coached. So yeah, Pittsburgh at 11.
And in sports, that's all that matters.
Yep.
All right, at 11, this one's also a little bit of a hot take, but I have not been super impressed with this team and this quarterback. Dropping 6 spots, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 6-3, yeah. But, at times, Trevor Lawrence has just not looked like what we want him to be. He looks like... How do I say this? He looks like Dak Prescott at his worst, honestly. Like, he looks like, and at his best, he looks like, who's an okay quarterback? I can't even think of one right now because, like, it's just so not like, I don't know. It's just not like, it's almost like Kenny Pickett, honestly. It's almost like Kenny Pickett to me. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence's rushing ability is better, but Kenny Pickett can run too. And if you're trying to save money, would you rather pay Trevor Lawrence or sign Kenny Pickett to a cheap deal? I don't know, because it's been 3 years, and I know he had the Urban Meyer experience, but this is his 2nd year in the offense, and I really can't say, like, I really wanted Trevor Lawrence to move up into that upper tier of quarterback, but right now, like, and I'll say this, like, would I rather have Trevor Lawrence or Brock Purdy on my team? At this point in time, I'd rather have Brock Purdy. He's cheaper. He seems to be more decisive with the ball. Maybe a little bit more accurate. Like, he doesn't have the giant arm like Trevor Lawrence, but I don't know, man. It's just nothing special about Trevor Lawrence so far. And I mean, the potential is there 100%. Like, do I think he can still take a step? For sure. But has he done it? No. So, and yeah, they got blown out by the 49ers, man. Like, come on, dude. You got to have some better performance than that. That was just pathetic. Especially when you have, like, the number 3 defense, 5-game win streak, all that. You know all the stats. Like, you gotta be able to put up more than 3 points. So yeah, Jags at 11.
I agree, man. It's not looking pretty for Trevor Lawrence. At 10 for me, this is where I have Cincinnati. I dropped them 5 spots. It wasn't a bad loss. It was a surprising loss. It was a home team that is more experienced. They have playoff experience. They have Super Bowl experience. They have a coach who has been a head coach longer, and they got outclassed. They got torched on the ground. CJ Stroud, a rookie quarterback, came into Cincinnati and is just lighting the world on fire. He looked great. Even though he didn't have the touchdown passes that he did the week prior against Tampa, he still looked great. And this defense looked great. But Cincinnati, man, tough loss. I know they were without T. Higgins, so maybe that affected the offense a little bit, but still, if Tyler Boyd would have caught that, we would be having a different conversation, because Tyler Boyd kind of single-handedly lost them this game. That was right in his hands, touchdown, dropped it. It definitely screwed them over, but Joe Burrow didn't have a phenomenal game by any means. He had 2 costly interceptions, and they weren't like tip passes. They were like bad interceptions. So it wasn't his best performance, but it was still decent. And the defense, which has been playing really well, they kind of got outclassed a little bit. So yeah, Cincinnati dropping 5-10.
Yep. All right. Number 10. I have the Dolphins staying put bye week, so I'm not even going to talk about them.
All right. 9 for me. This is where I have Jacksonville. I dropped them 5 spots. Complete collapse. They got demolished. As Jake likes to say, they got cream pied. We already talked about Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, we already talked about Trevor Lawrence. I don't want to flog a dead horse, but yeah, Jacksonville needs to perform better against elite teams. So Jacksonville at 9.
All right, at 9, moving up 3 spots. Huge win this week. Huge division win. I got the Cleveland Browns at number 9. They're 6-3. They're 1 game behind the Ravens. They just proved that they can beat the Ravens. They beat the Bengals earlier in the year. So they have 2. I think they have multiple division. I think they beat the Steelers too, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look it up.
I think the Steelers actually beat them.
Well, regardless, I think they have, tiebreakers over, good teams. And, I'm still not in love with Deshaun Watson as a quarterback, but he did play
his
better.
masseuses. Yes,
he did play better, and maybe he can just keep building off of that. But the run game is nice they have a great offensive line. Holy shit. And that defense can actually win them games.
Yeah.
Like, that's an understatement. So Browns at 9.
Agreed. At 8, dropping 6 spots is Baltimore. Tale of 2 halves. Looked elite in the first half, or at least in the first quarter. Second quarter kind of slowed down, but the second half, they scored. Like, they had an opportunity to win it, but they let Cleveland in. Offense stalled out in key moments, but that's just a testament to how good Cleveland's defense is. I think Baltimore is going to be fine. They're still the front runner of that division. They're still 7-3. They're still a great team. They're well coached. Baltimore is going to be fine. They're going to be a tough team to beat no matter what, especially at home. So yeah, if you're up 17-3 at one point, you got to close it out. So bad loss. So Baltimore at 8.
Speaking of the AFC North, the Browns have 2 division wins and 2 division losses. They lost to the Steelers, and they got cream pied by the Ravens week 4. So, all right, at number 8, moving up 3 spots, I have the Seahawks. I do agree with you. I think this is a good team, but I don't think they're elite. I think Geno Smith is kind of regressed, kind of going back to what we know Geno to be. I don't love the defense, although I do love players on that defense. I can't say love. I do like players on that defense. They have some talent for sure. Like, their DB room is insane. And they have weapons on offense. Like, this could be a scary team. They just have not really looked like what they should be, I think. So I think they're going to definitely contend for this division in the NFC West. They're probably a playoff team for sure. So, I just don't know how much of a splash they can actually make this year. But maybe a couple years, or maybe next year, they could get hot. I don't know. We'll see how long Geno lasts.
Yeah, I like it. 7, moving down 1 spot, just because of the movement of other teams, even though they were on bye. I have the Miami Dolphins.
All right. At 7, moving down 1 spot, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not going to take too much away from it. It was not bad, but, it should have been a win. And they were hot. They were won 4 in a row. They were looking like the old Cincinnati Bengals. And then you let a young buck Texans team. I think they just got I think they just got caught off guard, honestly. I don't think they were expecting that from the Texans. So that's why I'm not going to take too much from it. I saw what they did to my team. I saw what they did to other teams previously. And, they were banged up this week. And sometimes that just affects your team. So I think they'll be fine. It's just, they're playing it a little close with the record wise. So they got to pick things up.
I like it. All right, at 6, moving up 5 spots, kind of a hot take. Not too terribly much, but I have the Cleveland Browns at number 6. Jake already talked about their defense. This defense is elite. It's probably the best in the NFL at any given point in time. Deshaun Watson is my question mark still. I'm still not in love with his gameplay either, but this offense has weapons. You can still utilize the run game. If this team had Nick Chubb, they would easily be a top 5 team. But without him, Jerome Ford's had to step up. Kareem Hunt's been utilized here and there. But this defense is what's going to keep them in every single game they play. So yeah, Cleveland at 6.
I like it. At 6, moving up 1 spot, I have the 6-3 Cowboys. I'm not impressed by them beating the Giants. I'm not really. I mean, yeah, they put 49 points, but the Giants are fucking terrible. They might have the number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, they cream pied a very, very bad team. And I want to see them do it against a good team. I want to see them beat the Eagles. I want to see them. I don't know who's left on their schedule, but I want to see them beat a good team, honestly. So,
yeah. Dallas is who I have at 5. I have them moving up 3 spots. Not too much to take away from this game. It's just kind of surprising at how good the passing attack's been recently. Like, even though this was a bad team, this is like 4 weeks in a row where Dak has just been on fire. Like, him and CeeDee Lamb are just doing things that haven't been done before. CeeDee Lamb has now had 3 games in a row of over 150 yards, 10 receptions, and that's an NFL record. Like, CeeDee Lamb is that guy. And the defense is still elite. Defense is good. Let's just see who they can beat next. That's an elite team. So yeah, Dallas at 5 for me.
All right, at 5, dropping 2 spots, I got the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, it was a tough loss. I think they should have won, honestly, but they just got outmatched in the second half. And it was a division game, so a lot of weird things can happen. It's just like, they were looked so good the last couple weeks. And then that second half, they did not look great. Lamar didn't look great. Even the defense didn't look great. So it was kind of a collapse. I think they'll be fine. They'll probably be back in the top 5. I still think this is a legit Super Bowl contender. But yeah.
All right. At number 4, moving up 5 spots, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Back in the top 5.
So do I.
Hell yeah, let's go, baby. I'll let you talk about your team a little bit more, but this is the 49ers team that we know and love. They were dominant, absolutely 100% dominant. And this is what we expected. The 49ers do have periods every season where they kind of have a lull. Usually it's more so at the beginning of the season, and then they turn it up. This year was kind of vice versa. They started off really hot. They hit a little bit of a lull. But there's always that one point in the season where they turn it around. Usually it's against the Rams. This year it's after a bye week. So I think that they're going to get hot. The defense looked great. They got Chase Young, so they're still making moves in free agency. And this team, watch out. Offense looked great. Brock Purdy looked great. Defense looked great.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said, I agree. The reason I moved them up so much is not based off their record, but the dominance. To be that dominant against what I think is a pretty good team, and to be that dominant against the Cowboys, 2 of their best wins have been against playoff teams. Like, let's be real. And this is what separates good teams from bad teams or from young teams. You go on the bye, you adjust. Something's not working, or even if something is working, you look where you can improve. You're always trying to improve. And that's exactly what they did. They got Chase Young, like you said. The Steve Wilkes went on the ground, boots on the ground. Brock Purdy cleaned up the interceptions. Everyone got healthy. Like, besides like one offensive lineman, everyone's healthy. So this team is healthy, and I do expect them to go on a little run here. So, yeah, 49ers are back to where I expected them to be.
Agreed. Number 3, moving up 7 spots. Even though one side of the team wasn't performing well, I have the Detroit Lions. Yeah. Detroit's offense, masterclass from Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator, definitely going to get a head coaching position. He deserves it. He just completely outclassed the Chargers defense. Not hard to do, but he deserves some praise. And Jared Goff deserves praise. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, they all had a field day. The defense, not so much. The defense was performing a lot better at the beginning of the season. Back-to-back weeks where they've kind of looked a little suspect or sus. But yeah, still Detroit 7-2. Like, they're a good freaking team, and they keep winning ball games. And this was on the road. Jared Goff hasn't been as good on the road, but it's back to where he used to play in LA. Yeah, man, I like Detroit a lot. If it wasn't against the Chargers, I'd be a little bit happier for them because this is the team that I've been rooting for other than the Chargers and the 49ers. But yeah, I love what Detroit's doing. I love Dan Campbell. I love the coaching staff. I love the players. I think the city deserves it. Detroit's been in a lull for a long period of time, so good for them.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Only thing I'm going to add, I need them to beat a good team. I need them to beat a good team. We saw what happened when they beat the Ravens. Or when they played the Ravens, sorry. Disgusting. I don't know who's left on their schedule, but I really want them to be tested against an elite defense or a top 10 defense. I don't know if they're going to get that chance, because if they don't get that kind of exposure, they might get slapped in the face in playoffs. I definitely think they'll make playoffs. They have a great record. I think they're legit, but sometimes when you don't get tested during the season, it kind of goes back to haunt you in the playoffs. So I really hope they get a good test and see where they're really at, because I think this team is great. I don't think they're as great as some people believe. And I want them to be tested. I really do. So, but all in all, I'm rooting for the Lions. If the 49ers, don't make the playoffs, which, I'm not, knock on wood, but, I would have no problem rooting for the Lions unless they play the 49ers. So, yeah, Lions at 3. I'm assuming at 2 we have the bye week Chiefs.
Yep. And then number 1, the bye week Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. And that is our power rankings.
Yep, guys. Not too much to talk about for the top 2 teams. They were on bye. They get to play week 11, though. But, guys, that means that we get to move on to our Thursday night prediction. And
it's gonna be good.
This is starting off the week hot. This is what we've been waiting for on a Thursday night. Thursday nights have recently been kind of boring games. This one definitely has the potential to be a defensive game, but it also has the potential to be a high-scoring game. It could go either which way. It's a division rivalry. It is a great matchup. We have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Baltimore to play the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Both teams are coming off losses, close losses at that. My head is telling me Ravens. My heart is telling me Bengals. Although, this team, for as much as T. Higgins has not done this year, this team is different with T. Higgins. And this is a good defense. This is a good defense in the Baltimore Ravens. But this is also a good defense with the Bengals, and Lamar he needs to step up a little bit.
This one is tough. I'm in a very similar headspace where my head's telling me one thing, my heart's telling me another. I'm going to follow my heart on this one. I'm going to go Cincinnati Bengals because I'm in the same mindset as you. It is on the road, but Jamar Chase has typically played really well against the Baltimore Ravens. I think that they can do it. I think that after getting surprised and kind of dumbfounded with the Houston Texans, I think that it's kind of like a snap back to reality moment where it's like, all right, we're now on the cusp of not even making it to playoffs if we keep losing. If we lose this game, we're going to be 5-5, which is unacceptable. And then we're going to be giving the Ravens an even bigger head jump or a jump in the AFC North. You already have, they're in last place right now. They're at 5-4. The Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers are both 6-3, and then the Ravens are 7-2, 7-3, whatever they are. Yeah, I think the Bengals get back on track. They need this one desperately to kind of stay in the AFC North division, because if they lose this one, the Ravens might run away with it in the division. So I'm going to go Bengals.
You know, the Baltimore Ravens have a good defense. They have the 4th ranked defense. Oh shit. I think I'm gonna, just for fun, I actually think the Bengals win this one, but since it's so close, I'm gonna just go opposite with you. I'm gonna say the Ravens shut down the run game, and Joe Burrow is gonna have to rely on Jamar Chase too much, and I don't know. I don't know if the connection's gonna be there against that defense. So I'm gonna go Ravens just for fun.
All right. So guys, that is gonna wrap it up for this episode. Hopefully you stayed around for the Thursday night prediction. You already know the drill. Follow us on our Instagram here. Like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. Anything you can and do to help the podcast grow, we'd greatly appreciate. Jake, close us out.
Peace. Peace.
What?